The city was a symphony of gray and steel, a ceaseless hum of traffic and hurried footsteps. Samir Haddad, however, saw it as a canvas, albeit one stubbornly resistant to his vibrant visions. His own canvases, propped precariously in his cramped studio apartment or unfurled on a grimy sidewalk corner, often felt invisible, drowned out by the urban cacophony. He was a street artist not by choice, but by circumstance, and sometimes the anonymity of it all weighed heavier than his paint-stained backpack. One particularly dreary Tuesday, after a morning spent watching countless indifferent faces pass his latest abstract cityscape, an idea sparked. Not a flicker, but a potent, blinding flash of inspiration. What if he didn't just paint for the city, but with it? What if he created something that invited everyone to contribute, to find a tiny sliver of shared joy in the relentless rush? He walked for hours past towering office blocks, bustling markets, and quiet residential streets until he found it, a forgotten wall. It belonged to an old independent bookstore, its brick facade scarred by decades of weather and neglect, a faded for rent sign peeling mournfully in its window. It was perfect, grimy, expansive, and utterly anonymous. Hesitantly, Samir approached the bookstore owner, a formidable woman with a kind smile hidden behind thick spectacles. "I have an idea," he began, his voice surprisingly steady. "A community art project. For the wall." She listened, her eyes twinkling, and to his surprise, agreed. The city could use a little more color, young man, and maybe a few more smiles. The next few days were a blur of intense labor. Samir cleaned the wall, scrubbing away layers of dirt and old graffiti until the raw brick breathed again. Then he primed it, transforming the drab surface into a pristine, inviting white canvas. Finally, with a careful hand, he painted his own contribution, a sprawling, intricate mural of interconnected branches, devoid of leaves, reaching skyward like hopeful arms. Below it, in elegant, swirling script, he added the invitation that would define his project. "What makes you smile?" He set up a small folding table nearby, laden with colorful paint pens, markers, and a few small brushes. He settled into his camping chair, a hopeful glint in his eyes, ready for the city to respond. Days turned into a week, and the wall remained largely pristine. People walked by, curious, confused, or simply indifferent. A few paused, read the question, perhaps a ghost of a smile touching their lips, but no one dared approach the blank canvas. Samir felt a familiar ache of discouragement. Had he been foolish to think people would open up their hearts so easily? Then, a small hand reached out. A little girl, no older than 5, dragged her mother over. Her eyes wide with wonder, she took a bright yellow marker and, with the laborious precision of a budding artist, scrawled, "Ice cream." Her mother laughed, a warm, genuine sound, and added beneath it, "My daughter's giggle." That was the spark. An elderly man, leaning on a cane, carefully wrote, "The feel of sun on my face." A couple, holding hands, contributed, "Our coffee dates." A shy teenager, after much hesitation, quickly scribbled, "Old records." Slowly, tentatively, the wall began to bloom. Each word, each small drawing, was a vivid leaf unfurling on Samir's painted tree, a testament to the myriad, often simple, joys that made up a life. Samir felt a profound sense of satisfaction. It was working. Taylor always wore oversized hoodies, even in the mild autumn air. They were her armor, a comfortable shield against a world that often felt too loud, too bright, too demanding. At 16, she navigated the city streets with a practiced indifference, her gaze fixed on the pavement, her earbuds often blasting something heavy and dissonant. She passed Samir's wall every day on her way to and from her part-time job at the local library, a job she tolerated for the quiet and the proximity to books. Initially, she had scoffed. Stupid. What's the point? Teenagers, in her experience, didn't have much to smile about. Their lives were a relentless gauntlet of expectations, comparisons, and anxieties. But despite herself, her eyes would flick towards the growing tapestry of words. My dog's slobbery kisses. The smell of rain. A perfectly ripe avocado. She found herself reading them, a tiny, almost imperceptible flick of a smile touching her own lips when she read Eating Cereal at Midnight. Samir had noticed her on her third day of silent observation. He saw the way she hugged her backpack, the guarded expression in her eyes, the way she seemed to shrink into her hood. He understood. He remembered feeling that way. You know, he said softly one afternoon, gesturing to the wall, there's always space for one more. Taylor jumped, startled, her head whipping up. She glared at him, then quickly looked away, embarrassment flushing her cheeks. I don't smile, she mumbled, her voice barely a whisper. Samir simply nodded. Everyone smiles, Taylor, he replied, his voice gentle. Sometimes you just have to look harder for the reason. She walked away, faster than usual, the encounter leaving an unfamiliar warmth in her chest. A few days later, she was passing the wall again, her usual route, her usual hooded posture. She saw my dog's slobbery kisses again and thought of her own scruffy terrier, Buster, whose boundless affection was sometimes the only bright spot in her day. She hesitated, her hand twitching towards her backpack. She pulled out a black marker she used for school projects. Quickly, almost violently, she scrawled a nearly illegible phrase in a tiny, unused corner, thunderstorms with hot chocolate. Then she shoved the marker back, jammed her hands into her pockets, and walked away, her heart pounding. Samir watched her go, a quiet grin spreading across his face. He'd seen it. A new leaf on the tree. Sloane was a whirlwind of energy, a supernova of bright colors and infectious enthusiasm. At 17, she was an aspiring social media influencer, her phone practically an extension of her hand. Her world was curated, filtered, and broadcast, always searching for the next viral moment, the next trend to capture her burgeoning audience. She stumbled upon the smile wall during a live stream, trying to find a quirky backdrop for a fashion haul. OMG, you guys, look at this, she exclaimed to her camera, her voice bright and breathless. This is amazing. A wall where people write what makes them smile. How cute is that? She immediately started filming, narrating with rapid-fire excitement. You have to come down here. This is the cutest, most wholesome thing ever. Let's add something, shall we? She grabbed a bright pink marker, paused dramatically for her followers, then carefully wrote, puppy videos and perfect lighting. She filmed others adding their messages, capturing heartwarming snippets, interviewing curious passersby with practiced ease. The wall exploded. Sloane's followers, an army of digitally connected teens, flocked to it. They came armed with their own markers, eager to contribute, eager to be part of something genuinely positive. The wall filled rapidly. Samir, overwhelmed but grateful, had to scramble to buy more pens, more paint, more everything. His sparse, elegant tree was now a vibrant, chaotic, beautiful riot of words, drawings, and colors. Sloane, initially driven by clicks and views, found herself genuinely enjoying the experience. She saw the raw emotion, the vulnerability, the pure joy people felt as they added their small piece to the giant mosaic. She interviewed a shy elderly woman who wrote my grandson's first steps, her eyes welling up. She captured a young couple proposing on camera right in front of She Said Yes, scribbled by another happy couple. This was a different kind of connection, deeper than mere likes. This was real. Taylor watched Sloane with a mixture of disdain and reluctant admiration. Sloane's energy was admittedly infectious, even if Taylor found it a bit much. She preferred the quiet corners of the wall, where her own small contribution was almost hidden. One day, she found a small, unused space near her thunderstorms entry and started to sketch a tiny, intricate pattern of swirling rain clouds around the words, a silent, artistic extension of her own quiet joy. It was a way to contribute without the direct, overwhelming social interaction. Sloane, ever observant, noticed Taylor's quiet additions. She paused her filming, genuinely curious. Wow, these are cool. Taylor, did you do these? Taylor jumped, startled, her cheeks flushing. She mumbled, Yeah, just doodling. Sloane, surprisingly, didn't pull out her phone or try to make it about herself. She simply studied the delicate swirls. They really add something, like texture for the soul. You should do more. A quiet, unexpected camaraderie began to form between them, facilitated by Samir and the ever-growing wall. Taylor, despite herself, started to see Sloane as more than just a loud, filter-obsessed influencer. Sloane, in turn, began to appreciate the quiet power of art beyond just visuals for social media. They were different, but the wall, with its shared stories of joy, became their common ground. The Smile Wall became a local phenomenon. Local news stations featured it. Tourists, guided by online buzz, began to seek it out. Samir's art was finally getting noticed. People asked about him. Commission requests started to trickle in. He was no longer invisible. He was finally seen, and so was his art. Then a shadow fell. The wall's burgeoning popularity, while a blessing, also attracted unwanted attention. A few longtime residents, weary of the increased foot traffic and the occasional loud gathering, complained to the city about graffiti and loitering. One gray morning, a notice appeared, stark and official, taped directly over a vibrant "My Mom's Hugs." The wall, it declared, was to be painted over in 2 weeks. It was deemed an unauthorized public mural and a potential nuisance. Devastation. Samir felt the familiar cold grip of his dream being torn down, this time not by indifference, but by bureaucracy. Taylor felt a familiar sense of loss and injustice, a mirroring of the silent battles she fought every day. Sloane was furious, her usual bubbly persona replaced by a righteous indignation. This beautiful, positive thing, this beacon of shared joy, was being threatened. They tried to fight it. Samir showed the city official the old, informal agreement with the bookstore owner, but it wasn't official enough. Rules are rules. The official droned, unmoved by the vibrant testament of joy before him. Sloane, however, knew a different kind of power. We can't let this happen, she declared, her voice firm, to Samir and a hesitant Taylor. She immediately mobilized her online community. They're going to paint over the Smile Wall. This isn't just paint, guys, it's hope. We can't let them erase our smiles. She organized a peaceful protest, a rally at the wall, spreading the word like wildfire across social media. People came. They came with signs bearing giant smiles, with stories of how the wall had brightened their day, with their own markers adding a final, defiant layer of joy to the threatened canvas. Taylor, much to her own surprise, helped. She designed protest signs, her quiet artistic talent translating into sharp, poignant messages. Don't erase our joy. Smiles are not nuisances. And then, in a moment of courage that shocked even herself, she stood up before the small but growing crowd, her voice trembling but clear. This isn't just paint. She began, clutching her hoodie, her eyes sweeping across the familiar faces of strangers and the kind face of Samir. It's proof that even when everything feels like too much, there's always something to smile about. It's a reminder we're not alone. It helped me find my smile again. Samir, deeply moved by the outpouring of support, quickly painted a new, heartfelt message on a large banner. This isn't graffiti. It's connection. Local news, drawn by Sloane's social media storm, covered the rally. The story went viral. The city council, inundated with messages, emails, and phone calls from citizens, young and old, was forced to take notice. The city council, facing overwhelming public pressure and finally seeing the genuine, profound positive impact of the Smile Wall, reconsidered. A compromise was reached. The wall could stay, but it needed to be officially sanctioned. Samir would receive a small grant from the city's arts fund to maintain it, and perhaps even expand it. Samir was overjoyed. His art, his dream, was not only saved but officially recognized. He turned to Taylor, who was meticulously touching up a faded, "my best friend's bad jokes," with a fresh layer of paint. "Taylor," he said, a warm smile in his voice, "I could use an apprentice. Someone with your eye for detail and your quiet strength. What do you say?" Taylor looked at him, then at Sloane, who beamed back at her, giving a thumbs up. A genuine smile, full and uninhibited, bloomed on Taylor's face. "I say yes." Sloane, humbled but proud of the part she played, continued to use her platform, but with a renewed sense of purpose. Her content shifted, no longer just superficial trends, but features on community art projects, local heroes, and stories of genuine connection. She even created a powerful documentary short about the Smile Wall, a beautiful tribute that went on to win a local film award. The wall continued to grow, a living, breathing testament to shared human joy. It became a landmark, a place where people actively sought out connection and hope, a vibrant heart in the gray city. Taylor, no longer hidden in oversized hoodies, smiled more easily, her own artistic contributions now celebrated by Samir and the community. She helped him maintain the wall, adding new murals, incorporating people's smiles into the larger artwork, her quiet creativity merging seamlessly with Samir's bold vision. Months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, Samir, Taylor, and Sloane stood by the now sprawling, endlessly vibrant wall. New people, excited children, shy teenagers, and contemplative elders approached the canvas, adding their latest reasons to smile. A child wrote, "My pet hamster." A student added, "Finishing my exams." An old man, his eyes twinkling, scrawled, "Watching the leaves fall." The wall wasn't just paint anymore. It was a mirror reflecting the best of humanity, a constant, colorful reminder that even in a bustling city, a little shared joy, a simple question, and a blank canvas could change everything. It transformed a forgotten wall into a boundless garden of happiness, proving that sometimes the greatest art isn't just seen, but felt, shared, and created by us all. That will be all for today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Goodbye.